Yes, this is Satomi from Nexmall.
Well, today we have Mr. Etoh from Netskope with us, and I'd like to discuss the topic of organizational culture and cybersecurity. Mr. Etoh, thank you for joining us. Thank you for having me. I'm Etoh, a CX advisor at Netskope. Today, I'll talk about the importance of organizations, the need to change culture, and how that leads to digital transformation. DX, me. First, I'd like to discuss the positioning of security. I would like to talk about the positioning of security. This is a picture drawn by Professor Tsuji, a very famous Japanese security researcher. What I am talking about is that there is a conflict between the free use of technology, the safety of systems that make society safe, and protecting personal privacy. So, if you achieve one of these, you can't achieve the other two. When two of these are difficult to achieve in Asia, one becomes easier to achieve. The reason why I have written the word Oheben in German here is because I want to balance this at a high level. This leads to the topic of technology and culture that I will talk about later. When it comes to security in Japan, it is always limited to the lower left step, and technology is not allowed to be used freely. Well, to use the example later, SARS is not allowed to access the 10. AR is not allowed to be used freely. We'll manage everything as a fight list. We'll sacrifice efficiency for safety, and to a certain extent, we'll also sacrifice personal privacy. None of these three are possible, but today's talk is about trying to do it at a high level. It's really interesting. If we aim these three at the center and raise the bar in this way, then people will be able to use it, make it unfertilized. As a good tool, well, if culture is used as a tool, then by combining culture in this way, it will be possible to use it in this way. That's what I'm hearing now. It's a very interesting culture and technology. When you look at culture from the perspective of privacy protection, I don't agree. After all, corporate culture has to follow. Technology is there, and then it's buried at this high level. That's what I'm talking about. Today, I want to talk about tonight's law. This is, well, it's the content of a person who pointed out in 1968 that organization and technology are not independent. This is a system designed by an organization. Well, in many cases, it is software. And this is a copy of the communication structure of the organization. We are very ordinary. The systems and services we interact with have organizations behind them that create them, and organizations that use them. I would like to talk about how the communication structure between the creators and users is quite restrictive. It's interesting. This sixth rule is a major dividing line and a deciding factor for whether to adopt a so-called flat security structure. This is, it's an article written by Nick Wakefield in the New York Times. It's from 2013, so it's pretty old. That was 11 years ago. Well, the word big means that Microsoft is also aiming to follow Apple's lead. This article is a satire of Microsoft's situation at the time. What I want to say here is that the huge American internet companies we are looking at have also been providing systems that reflect their organizational structures since back then. It's interesting to see. The Apple in the bottom left also has a very interesting structure. So, I'll tell you a little bit about it here. Well, I want to add something about Amazon. Amazon has a structure that consists of about 4 layers. At the very bottom are the microservices, which are units of fewer than 8 people, often referred to as 2 pizza teams. The idea behind 2 pizza is that if you have 2 pizzas, 8 people can eat them, so it really is fewer than 8 people. For example, they might be using S3 for storage or creating load balancers. Each team is working on that development independently.
That's why they can develop in an agile manner, and updates to features happen quickly. Since there are fewer than 8 people in each team, it looks like one big service called AWS from the outside, which is a very interesting structure. It's fascinating. When you look at Amazon from the outside, it really appears as one service called AWS, but inside it's a combination of microservices. It's somewhat similar to how a stove uses oxygen. It's a very interesting shape, isn't it?
Continuing to use best-of-breed SaaS means that the user's organization must be reflected in that. That's right. The creators are structured that way. However, the users are not fully utilizing the best-of-breed services, and those who don't feel the need for that are fine with the existing security. But the question is, are we just going to stop there? I see. Right. So, this is where DevOps comes into play. The idea behind microservices is to continuously create and develop services with a small team. And when you put them all together, they form a very large system. When NTT Docomo made a significant cloud shift and everyone decided to use AWS, we continue to leverage the best-of-breed AWS as a user-side company. What we need to do is to develop and operate with DevOps. As shown in the diagram on the right. Well, the beginning is here. You start using it at the point of use. On the far left side of the time axis, as you continue to use it, various combinations gradually improve, services improve, and various experience points increase, and performance steadily improves. This is the idea of DevOps on the right, in the so-called software industry. Current mainstream thinking, on the other hand, this side approach is the Japanese manufacturing industry's way of thinking. Development starts, advances until the product is sold. At the sale point, depreciation starts. We need to change our mindset. I believe this is crucial. Equipment manufacturing leans towards sale point. We won't succeed. Customers want all features set before use. Well, I think there are a lot of them.
It's interesting. Japan's manufacturing industry succeeded, and based on that success, especially in the equipment industry, it's inevitable to lean towards that sales approach. However, we need to change our culture to focus on improvement while using services. Otherwise, we won't be able to succeed ahead. For example, when using Netskope, customers want all features perfect before use. No, it doesn't work that way. As you configure Netskope, security improves, and I want everyone to experience that. Exactly. In equipment and infrastructure, operation is only on the left. We need to focus on creating and delivering, and then even in equipment, digital aspects of DX need the right mindset. I truly believe that we have customers who say this, but as we work with them on Pyoki, we realize that it's not like that. Yes, little by little, as you configure the many functions of Netskope, security will increase, and it's not the idea of DevOps, but it's an experience we would love for everyone to have, and that's what we're supporting. You're right. The equipment industry and infrastructure industry can only exist on the left, right? That's not the case. After all, it's all about making things and releasing them.
We will be doing operational guarantees, but even in such equipment industries, the digital part that is added on top, the part that is the target of so-called DX, needs to be based on the idea of the right side. That is very true. So, is the security that fits that need to be traditional boundary security? In short, I'll protect you. You are now protected by this wall. You'll be fine for the time being. But there are a lot of things happening outside, so are you going to keep this company as it is? That's my message. So, you always need that DevOps type. I think we have no choice but to introduce security. This is the keyword that summarizes what kind of organization is necessary for that. To do that, we need to be so-called flat. Well, I'm writing about zero trust, but the point is to see what kind of traffic is flowing. We'll see if that traffic is good or bad. In short, you only need to use what's on the fight list. Connect with a VPN within the boundary type, within that wall. There's a difference between a world where you just use computers and a world where you're constantly improving with best-of-breed solutions. The security mindset in the latter case is different. It's about transparency and accountability, knowing what you can use, what you shouldn't use, how to use it, and how not to use it. And if someone wants to use something, they should be allowed to, but we'll be watching how they use it. I'll explain it properly. The executives will see how things are being used, and they'll understand, oh, this is how it's being utilized. Yep. The services we use are always best of breed, so we need to use them with flexibility and agility. Within that freedom, there are rules and regulations, and I really like the term strict but fair that captures this idea.
Moreover, there is a misunderstanding sometimes about the cloud, and when we say freedom, some people think that it's okay to do whatever they want, but that's not the case at all. We clearly explain what you can and can't do, and we'll put in place guardrails as a company, and on that basis we'll do things fairly. Well, like in the past, there was a strict hierarchy, including even things that are not necessary for work. Including private life, it's like a good boss is choosing something. That's not what I want to do, but I say strict because I want to maintain a chain of command to contribute to the company's business, but also have a fair relationship where people can work as they are. I think this is what we should aim for from now on. Yes, use various new technologies.
When talking about using new external technologies, You said that guardrails are the most important thing. In Netskope and Deloitte's words, this is called policy enforcement. We need to clearly document how it should be used and how it shouldn't be used, and then implement it. Oh. This is a difficult task, but if this is not done, it means that governance is not working, so I think it is important. I think it's okay to start doing this little by little. And what I want to say next is that it should be user-centric. Yes, that's it. What I mean by being particular about being user-centric. The organization has become rigid. There are already department managers, section managers, and section chiefs. And in such a culture, can DevOps be done? In other words, can we improve the system while choosing the best of the best? I made this picture with the ironic meaning, oh, so it was made by me. How did you make it? As I said earlier, the division manager is standing behind the traditions. In this organization, you can see the hierarchical structure emerging. It's becoming rigid. When I write that, it's like in those movies where AI understands everything, right? Exactly. Actually, I'm quite a layout enthusiast. The reason I became a layout enthusiast is that you can instantly grasp the culture of a company the moment you step into its office. In the end, it's not really user-centered, is it? I think a lot of ideas come from the many young people sitting around, but it all gets filtered up to the department head. That's right. There's this issue where the public hearing books are blocking that, and I found it quite frustrating. It seems to go against the culture of using the cloud or the culture of zero trust. I see, Mr. Etoh, you've managed to support this so well with AI, in contrast to the traditional approach. It would be ideal to be able to draw the layout of the company in the course. Can we make AI draw the appearance of the company? Yes. Well, this is what I tried, and the keyword is flat. Yeah. And you can't tell who is who. If you draw a picture where you can't see the power of the people sitting, it will look like this. I'm sure you can't tell where the president is sitting. I don't know the other day. Yes. So, what I'm saying is that it's not about who said it, but about the culture of what was said. And the same goes for security. Well, of course, I think we have to be a little concerned about who used it, but what was put in and taken out. I think it's important. Such a flat organization, with a user-centered approach is where DX is born. However, security will be guaranteed by zero trust.
This will be key to transforming our organization, culture, and technology. We must change culture and advance technology for digital transformation. At Next Mode, all employees work remotely. Thanks to our network tools.
I really think that if you really change the culture and technology at the same time, you can achieve digital transformation. So, in terms of doing the best of best, I think it's very difficult in this era of virtualization, this era of rapid change. When you think about what you need to do to continue the best practices, well, I've listed a few here. But of course, remote work has to be done in a user-centric way.
Power security will be strengthened, which means that cybersecurity will be improved while giving employees freedom. And when you look at enterprises, how can we make them more widely used? I see. It's like freedom of where to work. Well, in the Next Mode, all employees at our company work remotely, but thanks to Netskope, we can work anywhere. That has been made possible. I think it's a very useful tool.
The president goes on a trip to Nepal. This guy doesn't fall in love. The reason our efficiency doesn't drop, even if the president goes fishing in Hokkaido and doesn't come back, is that we have a flat culture where everyone understands their roles and can express what they want to say. However, we still keep an eye on security. In this sense, I believe in the security service edge summarized by Gartner, which represents modern security technology. Being selected as one of the companies in the top right of the Magic Quadrant is something I find very commendable.
Thank you very much. Today, we invited Mr. Etoh to discuss how to enhance security culture and to hear his vision and thoughts on the matter. I really enjoyed our conversation with Mr. Endo, and I hope we can talk about the specific features implemented in Netskope at another opportunity. Thank you very much for today.